Okay, welcome to the new moon meeting. So the new moon is in Taurus tonight, and Taurus is an earth sign, which means that this new moon is going to be very grounding. A lot of us might be focusing on long-term vision or life goals. And this new moon trines with Pluto, and Pluto is often linked to things that we fear. So just in my personal life and a lot of relationships that I have, I've noticed that there's been a lot of fear issues that have been coming up for people lately. So that might be something that um, is coming up for you or has been coming up for you in the last week. It's totally understandable. So be patient with yourself in that. This is a good time to look at any patterns in your life that are concerning power and or control, especially if those are linked to those fear issues. Fear, control, and big picture goals that are coming up for you might have to do with your sign and how your sign engages with Taurus. So I'm going to run through those real quick, and when you see your sign, you'll know what it's connected to. So Taurus might be dealing with self-image issues. Gemini, it engages with Taurus with secrets. So anything that's secret or secretive might be coming up for you. For the Cancer sign, friends or your friend zone. For Leo, it might be your career or career zone. For Virgo, it's the big picture issue, which is funny because Taurus is already kind of a big picture issue right now. So that's going to be a double whammy if you're a Virgo and you're really looking at like, what do I want out of my life? That's probably what's going on. For Libra, it's sex and shared finances. So especially with spouse, very intimate spousal or boyfriend, girlfriend relationship issues. For Scorpio, it's love. For the Sagittarius, it's daily work and health, which is really funny. My husband's a Sagittarius, and he's a school teacher, and school is coming to an end in like a week and a half, and I can really tell he's like doing like big picture. He's really zooming in and looking at everything, and it's been really funny to watch it. Like he doesn't even know what's going on. I just do, and I just sit back and giggle. I have yet to tell him, oh yeah, that's because of this is going on. So anyway, for Capricorn, you might be dealing with kids, romance, and creativity. For Aquarius, it's home and family. For Pisces, it's communications. And for Aries, it's cash, property, and values. So throughout this session, we're going to be focusing on things that may be coming up for you that we just spoke up above, with the goal of setting intentions for this next lunar cycle. And these intentions don't need to be restrictive or hard to reach. They're just intentions to move forward out of anything that you're stuck in. So as we go through this, we're not going to really like be setting really strict things. So don't think that you have to come back with like a whole bunch of feedback or anything like that. So we're going to start with a meditation and just kind of get into a comfortable spot, however that looks for you, wherever you are at. And when you're in a comfortable position, I'm just going to have you close your eyes and start with kind of a body scan. So as you take several deep breaths, just kind of drop down into your body and just scan your body for any tension as well as any fear that might be coming up. Those places might be in your back, in your shoulders. We tend to carry a lot of tension in our shoulders or our back. Could also be in your hips or your legs. Just wherever that tension is showing up. And take some time to just sit with that. Take some breaths and breathe into that area. If there is fear there, ask some questions. What does this fear represent? Does it have a color or a shape? Are there any other emotions surrounding this fear or hiding behind this fear? And then what kind of power does this fear wield over you? And are there any areas where it's controlling you? Are there any actions that this fear is asking you to take? I'm going to give you a couple of moments to just sit with this fear, be comfortable with the tension that the fear holds, and ask any other questions that are coming up for you. All right, then take a moment to thank the fear for making itself known to you, and promise to take any of those actions that you feel are necessary. And then once you've thanked your fear, take a couple of deep breaths in, and with each inhale, drop down into your root chakra. This chakra is located at the base of the spine and the pelvic floor, and is often depicted with the color red. The chakra system is a system of 7 wheels that all interlock together. When all of your chakras are in alignment, they turn one after the other, passing energy through your entire body. And when they're out of alignment, the energy can get stuck in one area or another. So today we're going to focus on the root chakra, because this new moon is grounding and focused on the big picture goals in your life. So take a few more deep breaths and just really ground yourself into the base of your trunk. Imagine roots growing from this chakra and digging down into the center of the earth, down through your chair, through your floor, through the dirt, and down to the core of the earth. Imagine those roots wrapping around the earth's core and pulling red energy up and into your body. Imagine these roots grounding you in a fixed place. And slowly bring your attention back up to your root chakra and out of the earth. Leave the roots in place and focus on the area around your pelvic floor or the base of your spine. You might envision a big red wheel or a large red circly spot. Whatever comes up for you is totally fine. Imagine the red energy flowing up from the earth through the roots and into this area, bringing energy, life force, and vitality back into this area. The root chakra engages the basic needs in your life and can be thrown out of balance if your needs are not being met, or if your needs might not be being met if this chakra is out of balance. Basic needs can include survival needs like food, water, and shelter, as well as the needs to thrive like health, wealth, and community. So let's take a moment to focus on each of these. So we'll start with food. And just take a moment to notice if any fears come up surrounding food, or if there's any feelings of scarcity when you think about food or nutrition. What beliefs do you hold around food that you feel no one else is hearing? And what limiting beliefs come up for you when it comes to food? Take a moment and sit with those thoughts. Because the root chakra is a place of your base and your foundation for health and wealth and all of those things. The mantras that surround supporting the root chakra are often I have or I am statements. So things like I have access to food, or I am well fed, or I am well nourished are good mantras to speak into this area. Next, let's shift into water. Do you have any fears that come up surrounding water, or any feelings of scarcity when you think about water or hydration? Take a moment to just focus on that. See if your body is getting enough water. See if she speaks to you and says yes or no. Most of us are often dehydrated, so it's okay if you aren't getting enough. Some more mantras about water are I have access to water, or I am well hydrated, whichever one is true for you. Shelter. What fears come up surrounding shelter? And do you have any feelings of scarcity when you think about shelter, or safety and security connected to your shelter? We'll take a minute to sit with these thoughts as well. A couple of good mantras for this topic would be I have shelter, I am safe, or I am protected. Again, feel free to use whichever one works for you and just repeat those to your root chakra. Next, we'll talk about health. What fears come up surrounding health, and what questions do you have about your health? A lot of us have so many questions that seem to be unanswerable, and there are answers out there, but what questions are stirring that you need to get to the bottom of? It's okay to take a minute and just sit with these thoughts and purpose to find the answers for your body. A couple of good mantras for your health would be I have access to answers about my health, or I am healthy, or even better, I am healing. Giving your body the grace to know that she's not there yet, but she's well on her way. And there's nothing wrong with being on that journey. Next, we'll talk about wealth and what fears come up surrounding wealth. What feelings of scarcity arise when you think about wealth or money? And what limiting beliefs come up for you when it comes to money? We all have a few limiting beliefs around money. A couple of mantras that I wrote down were: I have access to money, I am able to make money, and I am able to pay my bills. It's okay if these don't apply to you. There might be a better mantra for your specific situation, because not all of us have access to money. But be patient with yourself and just know that there are mantras you can come up with that apply to your situation. And lastly, we'll address community. What fears come up around community? What feelings of scarcity arise when you think about community or friendship? What beliefs do you hold surrounding community that you feel no one else is hearing? And what limiting beliefs come up for you when it comes to community or the thought of becoming involved in your community? It seems like in the days of social media, it's very easy to be disconnected with our communities. And this has been a subject for me of late that is almost terrifying. So it's okay if it feels uncomfortable to think about being involved or making new friends or getting out of your house. It's very easy to be an introvert in 2021. All right, some good mantras for this are: I have something to offer my community. I bring value to my community. I'm creating my tribe. I have a strong support system, or I am creating a strong support system for myself. I am liked and I am appreciated. Now, while still staying in this area of your body, down in your root chakra, take a step back and take stock of your root chakra. Is the wheel spinning? Is the energy flowing? Are there any blockages left? If there are there actions that you need to take to remove these blockages? Spend these last couple of moments giving gratitude to this chakra and thanking it for bringing awareness around these issues. Promise to take any actions that feel correct to you in this moment. And then lastly, while we're still in this area of our body, lift up a prayer to God. Thank Him for giving us this healing energy. Thank Him for creating your body, a body who can talk to you and reveal when something is out of balance in your life. Thank Him for bringing this awareness to your life, and ask Him for assistance in the actions you decided to take. Then take some deep breaths, bringing your awareness back up and into your chest, and then up and into your head. With every inhale, bring your awareness back to the room. You can wiggle your fingers and toes, stretch your neck and back, and when you're ready, open your eyes. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about fear today as well, and how it affects your hormones and your infertility, or your fertility rather. So when we are scared, the amygdala triggers the hypothalamus to create cortisol, so that way it will, well, actually, the hypothalamus doesn't create the cortisol. It's a whole chain thing. The amygdala talks to the hypothalamus talks to the pituitary talks to the thyroid. Your endocrine system creates cortisol. And cortisol is a hormone that's meant to make you jump fast, higher, run faster, think smarter, basically get out of any stressful situation that's going on. And it's the hormone that's created when we experience fight, flight, or freeze, which is something there's a lot of talk about in the mental health community. And what cortisol does is it gives you those abilities, and it's really, really good if you ever run into a bear or run into a tiger or anything like that. Unfortunately, for a lot of us, we aren't running into a bear or a tiger. Unfortunately, a lot of us are just experiencing daily stress, like paying our bills, going to work every day, things like that. And double, unfortunately, cortisol blocks the absorption of progesterone. And so when it goes into our bodies, it plugs up the receptor sites where our progesterone is accepted. And this can throw our fertility off massively, because progesterone is a very, very important hormone when it comes to fertility. It's important for keeping our periods regular. It's important for ovulation. It's important for maintaining life with a baby if you do get pregnant. So a lot of women experience a lot of very early miscarriages, and it usually has to do with progesterone and being low in progesterone. So what happens when we get stressed is that we experience that fight, flight, or freeze amygdala response, where the amygdala says something is wrong. I need to either fight, run away, or freeze. And freezing is a new thing that has come up in the last few years, where psychologists have started to recognize that a lot of people have the fight or flight response, but a lot of people who have been through a lot of trauma or toxic relationships, of early relationships in life, like being raised by a toxic parent or something like that, they usually freeze because they don't have the instant reaction of, okay, I need to either fight this or run away, because they didn't have the option to run away and they didn't have the option to fight it. And so they get stuck in this freeze position of just being terrified. And so all of these can relate to PTSD, but the freezing scenario is particularly bad because it's linked to early childhood trauma. So it's important to recognize, and this might be coming up a lot for you this new moon, because it seems to be for everyone, that PTSD comes up for a lot of people who have experienced emotional trauma or psychological trauma or physical trauma. And sometimes, even if it feels like you've done all the healing and you've done all the work, you can still have PTSD that shows up just for no reason. That it's just triggered, and it's just there to deal with it. So some tips and tricks that I have worked with over the last week to deal with fear when it feels really irrational is, first of all, to sit with it, especially if you've done all the work. If you haven't, there's a lot of things you can do. You can start with things like emotion clearing, seeing a therapist, talking through some things, talking to your inner child, talking to past versions of yourself, doing visualizations, things like that, earthing. There's tapping. There's a therapy that I think is like EMDR, something like that, that I've heard really good things about. There's a lot of different things you can do. But once you've done all of those things and you get to the point where it just is like this PTSD keeps coming back, these stress response keep coming up, anxiety keeps happening, even though I don't want it to be, you can sit with it and just recognize that it's there. It's very, very hard and not very fun to do that. I'm not going to sugarcoat that for you. It sounds really nice when we say just sit with your fear, but that means you're just sitting there being afraid and trying to be okay with being afraid, and that can be really, really difficult. Do a visualization and ask what your fear needs, like what we did up above, where you like see if your fear is a color or a shape. Ask it what it needs. Ask it all those questions. You can visit your inner child again and ask them if they know what's going on. Talk to someone you trust about it. Do some breath work. There's a lot of breath work videos on YouTube that you can check out. Do exercise and or movement. Sometimes just getting some movement going can help use up some of that cortisol. Earthing and or grounding. Like grounding movements or exercises, something like what we did just now with visualizing the roots going into the ground. And then, of course, be gentle with yourself. Always be gentle with yourself. And sometimes we just have to experience the fear, unfortunately. Like it's one of those things that in order to heal, we have to feel our emotions. And we have been taught so much. I mean, you walk down any mall and the message is, don't be sad, don't be mad, just be glad. Like everything is about being happy. You can buy your way to happiness. You can eat your way to happiness. You can drink your way to happiness. Do whatever you need to do to make yourself happy. And unfortunately, that's not the way that it works. And so sometimes we just have to be sad. Sometimes we just have to be fearful and look at it in the eye and say, what do you want? And try to give it that thing to help it out. And unfortunately, it's the long way around. It's not a pill. It's not a drug. It doesn't make it easy. But and it sounds really romantic to say, sit with your fear. Just sit with your fear. It's not a fun experience. So be ready to be uncomfortable in that moment. So I'm talking about fear so much today because Pluto trines with Taurus, and so fear comes up a lot during this new moon, and probably has been coming up a lot during the last week. It should start slowing down now and being calmer, but it might be an answer as to why you've been struggling with different things over the last week. So I hope this was helpful for you. We're going to delve into the interpersonal part of this meeting. And so I'm going to turn the recording off because you have to be a member to hear all this fun stuff that's coming next. So if you're interested in joining, sign up at the link in my bio and you can be on the next full moon's meeting. So, all right, bye.